And welcome once again to EWTN's continuing live coverage of the Knights of Columbus, the 132nd Supreme Convention, coming to you, as I said, live from Orlando, Florida. Still much ahead with the state's dinner, but joining us is His Excellency Kevin W. Van, Bishop of Orange. Thank you so much,
Thanks,
Bishop,
Doug.
for finding the time to be with us.
Good to be with you.
Bishop, last week it was announced officially that EWTN was opening a studio on the grounds of the new Christ Cathedral.
Is that correct?
That's right. It's a very exciting thing for us, and we're just so thankful for you for offering that invitation and giving us an opportunity to go out there and participate in what's happening out on the West Coast. It's exciting. Yourself and Archbishop Gomez, of course, we're doing some things with him on a show on the Spanish side, a live show he's going to do for us. So it's really great for us. If you think of EWTN, our little $200 garage in Mother Angelica, and now we've got the EWTN News Nightly studio in Washington, and now in Orange, California.
And now that means sea to shining sea, I guess.
That's right. Is that right? It's amazing. Our Lord works miracles.
That's right.
It's amazing how that happens. So you came there. That was a process that was already underway from the prior bishop, right?
That's correct. I've been there. I'm going on my second year. Mm-hmm. I'll be there 2 years in December. But the year prior, I think in 2011, Bishop Brown and his advisors decided to place a bid on the Crystal Cathedral when it was in bankruptcy court. Right. And it really was, I believe, an inspired move. Mm-hmm. Bishop Brown had good relationships with all the interfaith communities, and those good relationships, I think, really helped. And so they placed a bid on it, and they won it.
Right.
They got it.
It's interesting, too, because I know there was probably a certain amount of people when they first heard it thought, oh, the Crystal Cathedral, how are you going to adapt something like this iconic image of Robert Schull's ministry into a more classical Catholic cathedral?
Well, I would look, first of all, when I went there, and I was at the KC Convention 2 years ago, right now, when it was in Anaheim, and I got a tour of the campus.
Right.
And I saw the video clip where Reverend Schuller spoke to the priests and said he was grateful that this would continue to be a place of worship. And in fact, he even said he was grateful that the Mother Church would now, as he said, would be responsible for this. So that was there already in place. And so I got a tour of the campus, and then a month later, I found out I was going there. So, but that's part of the story of God's providence as you work. I've gotten the question a lot, how are you going to do that? I mean, sometimes genuinely interested, sometimes kind of funny, but it really is, I think it's like a blank slate.
Right. And it's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
I mean, the campus is unbelievable.
Especially as I see the campus now, the improvements that have been made.
Right.
It's the next door parish of St. Callistus has moved over and is worshiping in the original church building, the Arboretum building, which is all done. Right. We have 10,000 people a weekend on 3 different nationalities.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of going to Mass there a couple of months back, right?
We had a celebration for the end of the year of faith.
Right.
6,000 people at that.
Oh, really? That many?
Yeah,
wow.
Divine Mercy Sunday, about 7,000. Right. So all kinds of things.
And that's one of the things that you're really hoping for, in the sense of giving yourself this Catholic space that has the cathedral. It's got a theater there that's available.
It's got a theater, and art and music is very much connected with worship and faith. And historically, over the years, the church has had a great connection with art, music, because beauty attracts and draws to God.
Right,
so we'll be able to do all that.
Who are the great patrons of most of the great art?
Well, of course.
And also what's great too, I know when we were looking at, from a production side, not only the studio with a beautiful view of the top of the cathedral and then over the rest of the the Orange Valley in a sense, you can even see the home of the angels.
You can, and you can see the Matterhorn of Disneyland if you know where to look.
That's right.
You look at the other way, you can see Saddleback Mountain. Yeah, on a clear day, it's gorgeous.
It's a beautiful view. But what's exciting too is because of the way the grounds are set up, you can have processions and things like that. And I know you've got the Korean community, the Vietnamese community, the Filipino community, a lot of Catholic communities out there with their own heritage who do a lot of processions and other things like that would be great if the greater church, especially in the United States, would see.
Sure, if Orange is a place for processions, because processions, liturgically and historically, are connected with an expression of faith, of processing to God, going up to Jerusalem. So we've done that already. We had, my first year, we had Los Posadas there, and last year too, which is a procession of the journey to Bethlehem. We had that. all these things.
Right,
You know?
so it's very well known in South
Yes,
America.
yeah,
People
yeah,
are
right.
familiar with that. So how many different languages are you currently having masses in, and will there be more going forward in the cathedral itself?
Well, right now at Christ Cathedral campus, we would have English, Spanish, Vietnamese, and now Chinese. So 4 on campus there. But we have other languages, of course, throughout the diocese also. But 4 languages every Sunday on the cathedral campus.
Right, I was surprised. We were up earlier this year up in Vancouver.
Yeah.
And we had our first Canadian event, and we were up there, and I was surprised really at how many Chinese Catholics populate that area.
Yeah. Well, there is a big Chinese Catholic population in Los Angeles, but they're also down now in Irvine and in that area. And they've been worshiping in 2 different places, so now we have a chance to have them worship in one place. So I've worked with their leadership to actually have Mass there on Sundays.
Now, as far as we're going to have the studio, and I think some other Catholic ministries, I think, and apostolate's going to be there. Am I correct in Father Spitzer possibly is going to be located there?
Spitzer and the Immaculate Heart Radio, which has in San Diego, but they're
One of our affiliates out
bringing
there,
the station up
right.
so they can have more closer communication.
Right.
And we're working with some other groups too.
Right. I've heard some various ones. So, in essential, almost doing a little bit what Archbishop Chaput had done in Denver, which is really offering a location, and a little bit what Father Mike Scanlon did in Steubenville, in a sense, allowing a location that's open to other Catholic apostolates who can then use that as a base of operations and integrate and work with each other on top of it.
And in this age of the new evangelization, it's a prime opportunity really to do just that, to preach the gospel, to spread the message of the news of our faith, using all kinds of media and everything, especially there.
Right.
And it's easy, it's accessible, easy to
And it's
get
a
to.
high-tech campus already.
It's a high-tech campus already,
Right.
sure.
Right, you've got fiber running everywhere, so you've got connectivity. We're really excited. I know Brian Patrick himself in the interjection he did for the Knights of Columbus event earlier today specifically talked about how excited that they are with the aspect of having a location out on the West Coast where we can bring in people like yourself or other prelates or other newsmakers who can actually participate in not only our news shows as a live shot, but maybe participate in Father Mitch's EWTN live show or other thing and have contributions from all parts of the world.
Right, and especially there at our campus, like with Archbishop Gomez up in LA, they have a facility where we can do things in Spanish,
Right.
and in English, and even Vietnamese, you know, to be able to do all of that.
And it's great because that's one of the areas we also saw, along with the LA operation there, is the fact that we could do some more Spanish production out there in Orange. And in fact, you know, a lot of people don't know, they just don't realize that EWTN not only does Spanish programming, but has 2 complete Spanish networks. One of them is dedicated to the United States, and we want to raise that awareness too, because in many
I don't
ways.
think that's very well known,
Right.
and how important that is for us, especially in the Southwest, but especially now.
And what's really exciting too, I think, is to see the partnership, like you see here with the Knights of Columbus, with the partnership with the Church and the Knights of Columbus, the wonderful work that's being done on the parish, diocesan level, the statewide level. Certainly EWTN getting to broadcast this and making people aware of the unbelievable work. I mean, it's unbelievable how much work the Knights do, and the Church gets bad publicity. The only time you hear about it is when something's wrong. And here, this wonderful thing that's out there, and the same thing in a relationship like in the diocese with yourself, Bishop, where you can be supportive of those kind of media apostolates like what Father Spitzer's doing in Immaculate Heart Radio, what we're doing, where we can all work together and raise awareness and say to the people in the pews and the Catholics out there, there's a lot of resources that you can tap into that maybe for whatever reason or another you were unaware of.
Well, that reflects, I think, what Pope Francis talks about, the culture of encounter, when we have all these different groups who live in our faith and preach and teach. It's a culture of encounter of everybody, and what a more powerful witness that we give them.
And the same idea inside the Church, that there's different spiritualities and ways of assessing things. And so, you know, if you're the kind of person who likes to be there at the event, you can go to the Christ Cathedral and be in the processions. You're the kind of person who enjoys television, a person driving your car with radio. If you're a younger person and you're used to kind of got your phone app working for you, there's all different ways, right?
You can reach so many people with that.
Right, exactly. Are you finding yourself, even in working on something like this, that as you're out in LA area, you know, kind of the general, you know, TV mecca world out there, are you finding that since you've been out there and something, and people, you make it known that you're looking for Catholic media, you want to work in that way, that you're seeing people maybe come forward who maybe before didn't realize there was an opportunity to maybe use their very professional, polished skill set for something a little bit more than money?
I would say this. I've been there about 1.5 years now. So I'm getting to know the folks a little better and the people and the different opportunities. So I'd say now that I'm there a little more, people are approaching me a little more about possibilities that maybe we can do there. Sure.
Because they see that there's a platform and there's an opportunity to do something. Because I think I've always found, working in the secular business for many years, there's lots of people out there who would like to do things. They just haven't seen where there's an opportunity where they can help.
They don't know where to make the connection.
Right, exactly. Right, and so hopefully something like this will in a sense, be a magnet for those kind of things happening out on the West Coast.
In some ways,
okay.
and now it'll become more so after
Even
we get
more
to
so,
the different groups get up and running, you know?
And so you're out there in Orange. How many Catholics are actually in your particular diocese?
The Diocese of Orange is 730 square miles, so just one county. But I think the Catholic population is about 1,300,000. So about 40% of the population.
Really? Okay, that many.
I think Orange is about the 10th largest diocese in the United States.
And what would you say, based upon being the pastor out there, that's the numbers? What percentage would you characterize as being active Catholics at this point in time?
That's a hard thing to quantify, but I will tell you that every time I've gone to something, I've been in almost all our parishes now. They're full, you know?
Right.
I mean, I can't give you exact percentage,
Right,
but
right.
every celebration I've had or I've been to, I just drop into parishes sometimes, they're full.
So-
a lot
so-
of people engaged. Now, we always have to,
Right.
in this area of preaching the gospel again, reach out to those that are disconnected because they're there. But we have a...
So is there life there, maybe more life than some of us have given the parishes credit for? I mean, they're Catholics who want to be engaged. They love their faith. They love the Holy Father, whether it be John Paul II or Benedict or Pope Francis, and they want to participate.
Again, I've been to parishes small and large, and I find the folks very engaged and very involved and very active.
Right, exactly. Well, let me ask you, since we're here at the Knights of Columbus, it's fair that we plug a little bit about the Knights of Columbus. How long have you been involved with the Knights? Were you a knight, a chaplain before you became a bishop, or?
Oh, my involvement with Knights of Columbus goes all the way back to my father. He was a Knight of Columbus back in Springfield, Illinois. And then as a priest, I took my first, second, third, and fourth degree in the Diocese of Springfield, Illinois, in 4 different parishes. And then when I was a pastor of a rural parish, I started a parish Knights of Columbus Council. That was being talked about today, but I really did that in 1990. I got a wonderful response, and the council's still active. And then I went to Texas and was very involved with the Knights in Texas.
And that was Fort Worth?
Fort Worth, yeah, I was Bishop of Fort Worth for
How many years were you actually down there?
7.5 years.
And as I recall, I think you helped us get a radio station down there, if I can
Yes,
recall.
Guadalupe, yes, I worked with that, yes.
So that was terrific too. And so when the Knights of Columbus, I mean, one of the things that struck me, and when I was listening to Carl Anderson's talk and getting to talk to him a little bit, the Supreme Knight, was the fact that in a sense, the Knights have really been a unique story in the sense that they really have come out of everything stronger and bigger than before, when not every of the other apostolates that used to be so popular, we'd love to see the Holy Name Society come back bigger and stronger, and even the Legion of Mary or some of the Rosary Society, but the Knights really have succeeded in moving themselves forward and engaging the culture.
Well, I've seen, again, I'm still learning a lot in Orange, but they're very involved with the Special Olympics. That's one.
Right.
And they're very involved with supporting priests and seminarians. They're very involved with families. So I see a lot of active involvement of the whole family.
Right. And it's a great opportunity for the lay people to be involved, and also for men who we really need to see themselves as
it's an avenue,
taking their place.
So some men who are looking for where to get involved, this would absolutely be it.
Right, and it's the kind of thing where it's tactile in some ways. You can see the work, and that kind of attracting
being
people.
Accomplished. You can see that they're doing some good, that they're an instrument of Christ's love, and that's very important.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much, Bishop Van. We appreciate you spending the time with us, and we really appreciate you.
Come on and visit sometime. I'll give you a tour myself.
That's right, inviting us to come and participate with the wonderful work in your diocese. Thank you so much. And we are going to take a short break, and we'll be right back here at the Knights of Columbus 132nd Supreme Convention, live from Orlando, Florida. Stay with us. And welcome back to EWTN's continuing live coverage of the Knights of Columbus 132nd Supreme Convention. coming to you live from Orlando, Florida. I'm Doug Keck here, joined again by Andrew Walther. And Andrew is going to talk to us about media and research and development, but really he's going to talk about a particular program that I think is near and dear to his heart as well. It has to do with the Knights sponsorship of something that's called Coats for Kids. And we want to see a video about that first, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it. Let's take a look. Coats for Kids, very interesting.
On October 15th, Colorado Knights joined forces with the Denver Broncos in a Coats for Kids distribution that provided warm winter coats to students from inner-city Denver. Broncos defensive coordinator Jack Del Rio helped organize the event with his wife, Linda. The collaboration was facilitated by Catholic Athletes for Christ.
Do you have any good ideas? All right, give me some lessons.
This is a great project, especially for Denver. We got the first real snow today, so it's kind of like Providence that we were giving out 1,000 coats.
Every kid needs a coat, especially in cold weather like this, and not all families can provide that. So it's good to be able to have a group like the Knights provide this for families.
Anytime you can help, your local community is just always just such a blessing. Seeing these kids' smiles and all the people that you're going to be helping is just so encouraging to them, I think.
It's been on the Bronco website. It was advertised at the game. It's great to have that partnership with them, and it's also good for the athletes to come be with the kids.
It's nice to be able to take a break from the normal grind of coaching football and get away on our lunch break and come over here and join up with the Knights of Columbus. Great organization, do a wonderful job of giving, and I think, and not only just giving back to the community, but maximizing, what they have, the resources they have. Been involved with a lot of different charitable projects, and I know the Knights of Columbus are excellent about, squeezing every last little bit of product out of the dollars that they get.
And very good. That's Coats for Kids. A brief little video. We saw Jack Del Rio and his lovely wife, who have done a lot. I know his wife has been very involved with Catholic Works and has been to EWTN before, and we're hoping to get Jack there sometime as well. Now, this isn't just about football. This is about Coats for Kids. And I thought one of the points that the Supreme Knight made in his talk was the idea that disasters are by their nature unpredictable. However, the cold of winter is predictable. And that's something why the Knights can. So where did this idea come from, the idea of basically making sure kids have warm coats?
Well, the Knights of Columbus really like to meet needs in the community where they exist. And as the Supreme Knight said, cold winter is predictable. So the idea was this was something that we could easily meet the need for, something where we could come in, and to date, just in a few years, we've given more than 160,000 coats, almost 52,000 coats last year, 2,000 in Connecticut on Black Friday alone. Really letting a kid get through school without being cold, letting a kid walk somewhere in the winter without being cold. I mean, we take it for granted, right? But for someone who's in a lower income neighborhood, someone in the inner city, that can be a real life-changing experience.
Now, you mentioned when we've talked before during today that there's kind of different levels of initiative. You've got the things that are maybe happening out of the Supreme Council, and you've got what's happening on a state level and a local level. Is this the kind of thing, like this one we talked about, the Broncos in Denver, is that something that would get started by the council in Denver, or the state there? Are they the ones, how do they get the coats? Are they raising the money? Do they ask people to donate things? How does it work?
Well, the Knights of Columbus national office certainly helps coordinate these things in terms of getting coats to the local councils. But the local councils are very active. So we have local councils all over Canada and the United States that are doing this. And while we can help them to find the coats, typically this is driven at the local level. Something like the Broncos, when you have a larger scale event, often we'll get involved from the national level also to help out certain logistical ways to make sure that we're there to support that event in a major way, because events like that really bring in the entire community. It's great to do something with these local teams because the whole community sees, goodness, there's a need in my community that I didn't know was there.
And it really works well, not only for the Knights, also for the sports franchise, which is tied into the community as well. So if you've got someone like Jack Del Rio who can get them involved, he's got a profile, he's going to raise awareness maybe above what we unfortunately would say, whether the Knights want to do it or not, but people say, oh, well, Jack Del Rio's involved with this, and the Knights of Columbus is there at the same time, so you can get more awareness, and that's why even something I know you were talking about, Mike Piazza, also, being a New Yorker, and remembering Mike Piazza and seeing him play in New York, though he's playing for the Mets, my arch enemies, because I'm a Yankee fan, but to see the good work, and I remember Raymond interviewed him years ago, and he was talking about, even when he was still playing, about that he prayed the rosary, etc. So you see it lived out. But these people are great because they can raise awareness, they can attract attention to an issue, and then when you have the people's attention, then you can tell them the story. Like you said, something just as simple as coats for young kids.
Anything that really brings the attention of the public to a need in their community and helps them to understand the importance of what's going on, the importance of reaching out to a particular segment of the population that has a need, is a wonderful way to draw in additional support and additional awareness. So I think for us, when we get the Broncos or when Mike Piazza or someone steps up to really help with these charitable initiatives, it's great because it has a ripple effect that's very positive for the people that are most in need.
And regardless of global warming, apparently this past year we've had a lot of very, very cold weather. Even this summer it's been pretty cold, so we can expect that it's going to be.
I'll speak for myself in Connecticut, but it was certainly, we certainly had a lot of snow days.
Right, exactly, and so it's still cold out there. So if somebody wanted to get involved with this, either in their local chapter or somebody watching this, a night out there says, that's something we should be doing in our community. We do other things, but we sell this and have the Tootsie Rolls and we do the things for the Special Olympics, but I hadn't really heard about this. What would they do? Get in touch with their local council, their state council? Do they get in touch with the national?
Sure, no, a local council, you start with your local council. The local council can certainly contact the national office to get set up with what they need to do the Coats for Kids program. And it's the sort of thing that's very turnkey, very easy to do. You put out the word. And what we did this year that I thought was particularly fascinating was doing it on Black Friday. Right. The rest of the country's out there shopping right. And our guys all over Connecticut are putting coats on kids that don't have the money to go shopping. Right. And there was no better sort of positive contrast that you could have than giving on the busiest shopping day of the year. I mean, what a statement about the principles of Catholic charity to be doing something like that.
Did people go out and go to a store and buy some coats for kids, and then they're new coats, or they old coats?
No, everything we give away, our Coats for Kids program is new coats.
It's all new.
And
right.
We work with suppliers, so we're buying these 52,000 last year, more or less. I mean, we're buying them in quantity.
So you're taking donations towards it and making bulk purchases.
We're taking charitable money for it, or also the money that we put into charity or the councils put into charity themselves. That money is going to buy coats at a wholesale rate, right. And then those brand new coats are going to kids. And I'll tell you, standing there in New Haven, Connecticut on a 30-degree day and seeing kids lined up in T-shirts for those coats, I knew we were making a difference.
Right, well, that's great. The Knights are making a difference at a lot of places, I have to tell you. If you're watching today's programming or listen to the Supreme Knights talk, there's a lot going on. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back here at the Knights of Columbus Convention, 132nd Supreme Convention from Orlando, Florida. State's dinner still ahead. Stay with us. And welcome back to EWTN's continuing coverage of the Knights of Columbus, 132nd Supreme Convention live from Orlando, Florida. We're now joined on set by Tom Peretta, National Coordinator of College Councils for the Knights. Tom, you look like you're vaguely familiar to me. I mean, you were down, we were just talking about coats for cold, cold coats. Now you were at EWTN and expected it to be warm, but you ended up in the middle of an ice storm, right? Didn't you end up staying over?
We got caught. We stayed over at one of the homes
Life on
there.
the Rock,
we were
right?
on Life on the Rock. Doug Keck couldn't make it in.
Doug Barry.
Doug Barry. You're Doug Keck.
I couldn't get
Doug
home.
Keck.
I was sleeping in a Walgreens.
He
couldn't
Keck
get
was in
in.
a Walgreens. That's right. But but Doug Barry couldn't make it in. But we did the show anyway. Father Kalish and I, and we were happy to be down. Yeah.
Right, exactly. We were actually talking to Father Kalish yesterday. We saw him. He's hard to miss, He is. Fairly tall Dominican there.
He was my campus minister, so that's how I first got tied into the Knights of Columbus.
Well, let's talk about that, because I know Focus, we deal with, and the work they do on campus and things like that. So what are the Knights doing as a campus and young adult ministry? How does that cross over?
Sure. College Knights are currently on over 100. We're on 302 campuses worldwide, and we're on about 140 active councils, Canadian and U.S. colleges. We're doing charitable and spiritual development.
So how
and
does
outreach
it work when you say there's actually a council? I know it was interesting to hear Carl Anderson talk about a council going on a military base, like the was it the 101st Airborne? So you would actually have a council at a local parish, but you could have one on the campus. Is it part of the campus parish? How does that work?
Essentially, it is. We treat the Catholic student body on campus as the parish, and the campus minister as its pastor, and we form a council around them wherever there is that grouping of Catholic men that want it.
So Auburn University might be one of them, I think, as my daughter has gone, War Eagle, so I had to bring that up.
I went to Quinnipiac University myself in Connecticut, where we started a college council. Wherever there's an active campus ministry life, there can be a Knights of Columbus Council.
Now, how does that work? Do I go there as a guy who maybe joined the Knights or was a squire, became a knight in my local parish, and then I decide to go away to college, and I go there and say, gee, I want to get involved with the Knights of Columbus, and that how we get it started there, or you recruit people there to become Knights?
In my case, I knew about the Knights of Columbus, but I didn't really know about the college program at all.
Okay.
And so my campus minister at the time.
So when you went there, you weren't a knight already?
I wasn't a knight.
Okay.
And we were looking for a way to respond to the needs for Catholic men on campus, both spiritual, but a desire to give, to grow in our faith and develop spiritual and charitable programs on campus. And we really formed around the model of the Knights of Columbus, this fraternal model that's adaptable to any situation, and particularly for young men on campus, for seeking to work together to build bonds of fraternity, but also accountability, to live a virtuous and charitable and faith-filled life.
What would be an example? I mean, I think there was something with Notre Dame with steaks or something before a football game or some event, and they used the money for what?
Certainly. They used the money for a variety of charities, such as developing programs for a mentally handicapped hospital in the area. They sponsor several ultrasounds in the area at different crisis pregnancy centers.
With the ultrasounds,
yeah,
right,
and so they've really taken a hold of that program. That annually, I think they do 50 to 60,000, and 3,000 on a weekend they raise from the steak sales alone.
Okay.
And they take that money and share that with up to 30 different charities. That program's been going on since the 70s. Really came out of a fraternal, tailgate at the football games, and grew into this charitable. Alumni come back every year for steak sales and different games. They have a strong alumni presence there with the Knights of Columbus, and it really is one of our model campuses and programs.
I was going to ask you about that. We have a video we wanted to see what some of the work looks like. Let's take a look at that video having to do with students.
Game day at Notre Dame. It's where legends are born and champions are made. But the players aren't the only game day heroes for the Irish. Since 1968, Knights of Columbus Notre Dame Council 1477 has raised more than $1 million for those in need through the sale of steak sandwiches before all Notre Dame home games.
The steak sandwich sale, like many things at Notre Dame, is rich in tradition and lore. It began, I guess, in its original form in the 1950s as just a fraternal cookout for members of the council. over time, the Knights kind of realized that we have an opportunity to, do something with, and so a fundraiser was born. And over the years, it's grown and grown, and it's been a part of some fans' game day experience for 35 plus years.
This stake sale it's such an iconic part of the Notre Dame game day experience. I always try to explain that to the new guys. This is as much your chance to be a part of game day at Notre Dame as wearing a golden helmet or marching down the field in the band.
Earlier in the week, we start foiling the grills, prepping everything, ordering all of the steak and the drinks and the napkins and plates and everything like that. On game day is really where everything kind of comes together. Lines hundreds of people long by game time.
For decades, the proceeds from the sale have benefited numerous charities, in particular, the Corvilla Home for the Intellectually Disabled and the Gibo Home for Children in Crisis.
The first principle of the Knights of Columbus is charity. I call it the baptism of blood and smoke. You get to be a part of the most powerful charitable force that we can possibly marshal as a council. And the fact that we've been able to raise as much money as we have, with as much passion and with as much fun as we do, it's a lot of hard work, but that's the essence of what charity has to be, a personal, direct involvement with what it is that you're trying to accomplish.
For the October 19th game against arch-rival USC, the Notre Dame Knights helped raise funds for the recently launched Knights of Columbus Stand with Boston program. This initiative is designed to provide additional prosthetic treatment beyond that covered by insurance or other programs.
A lot of folks who were injured in the Boston Marathon bombing are athletes, and while their insurance covers a limb that they can walk with, a limb that they can take a shower with, they may not have a limb they can swim with, or most of all, a limb that they can run with. It's a very special opportunity to celebrate the greatest intersectional rivalry in sports like we do today. It only makes sense that we'd find some way to give back.
Charity is at the heart of the Notre Dame Council and really at the heart of these stake sale programs. It may seem like we're having a bunch of fun out here and it's a great fraternal bonding experience, which it is. But at the end of the day, what we're doing is nothing short of a great charitable event that benefits so many here in our local community, throughout this country, and even around the world.
Very, very powerful there, and the focus on the stand with Boston. When I first heard that, I was like, well, what happened? Then you forget what happened with the marathon, and in fact, it wasn't too long ago, we just had the 1-year anniversary.
Right.
And for them, the Notre Dame guys, again, that idea, that Catholic universality, that it's not just something that happens out in Indiana or out in the Midwest, but they would think that this would be something they could support back in Boston.
Right, we remain very connected with all our college councils throughout the year, and so when they heard about the Supreme Knights Initiative and the Stand with Boston program in the Supreme Council, they said, well, let's take our weekly stake sales and commit them to this program. And also, as typical, College Knights also got involved in the Boston area with that combine, that practice, and the athletes with the new limbs. As typical of all our programs, not just raising money, but getting really involved with the local communities and local initiatives.
Get their hands dirty.
And knowing the people that you're helping. We're building a community around it.
It's really, really important. I was wondering, well, an event like here at the convention with all the delegates here, now are there separate meetings for your group, for the college group, or do you all just integrate, or how does it work?
Not at the Supreme Convention. Obviously, the Supreme Night reports on our young adult initiatives. We have an annual gathering of college knights and leaders at New Haven.
And
the headquarters of the Knights of Columbus, and every year they come to St. Mary's and to the Supreme Council headquarters and meet and discuss best practices for building fraternity and new charitable initiatives. And usually every council sends about 2 to 3 delegates to that meeting.
Besides, obviously, the Stand with Boston and the stake sale, what would be some of the more unique or interesting ways some of the, young guys at colleges come up with wild ideas, So, I mean, some of the ideas they might have come in and invented.
One wild idea that came out of a college council, and that's 40 Hours for Life. Started out of a college council, Texas A&M, one of our larger college councils.
Right. Okay.
Obviously, prevalent throughout the Catholic Church now. People doing 40 hours devotion
that really
for life.
came out of
came
that,
out of work
part of
at the
initiative?
campus ministry,
Wow,
which is
okay.
supported by a large Knights of Columbus Council
It's
there.
always
at Texas
interesting. You don't
A&M.
think of Texas A&M, you know, when you're thinking of a powerful, you know, Catholic campus ministry, but we've had them on, and they are very, you know, it's interesting. You know, you think, not that there's any, you know, Notre Dame or someplace like that, you know, it's got a wonderful Catholic
I think they have
name.
one of the largest staffs for campus ministry because of the large Catholic presence on campus. And it shows with our Knights of Columbus.
Yeah, they had a pretty good football team last year and a pretty good quarterback.
indeed.
We'll see how he does playing with the pros. Well,
Sure.
thank you so much, Tom.
thank you,
It's
Doug.
great to have you stop by. Keep up the
Pleasure
wonderful
being here.
work. We need young men and moving forward who will then marry beautiful young women and raise wonderful Catholic families. Right now, we're going to take a look at another program called Vocation to the Priesthood, and we'll be back at the bottom of the hour for the States Dinner here at the Knights of Columbus 132nd Supreme Convention live from Orlando, Florida. Still much ahead. States Dinner, won't want to miss it.